The Bird starts in San Francisco with Tippi Hedren crossing Union Square. Hitchcock found it very difficult to shoot that location because by 1963 he was very famous and would typically draw a crowd.
I crossed the street and walked down to the pet shop, and that's where the little boy whistles at me, and I, smile back at him.
The Birds is about a woman played by Tippi Hedren who follows Rod Taylor.
I said, I wonder if you could help me.
Yes, what is it you're looking for, sir?
Lovebirds.
Lovebirds, sir?
And drives north along the coast to his small town in Bodega Bay. Ultimately, with the idea of courting him, but in the process gets stuck in a whirlwind of bird attacks that ultimately lead to, as the way some people characterize it, the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
It's the end of the world!
Bodega Bay, well, that's what my father liked about the story, that he could use San Francisco, but then he could also use Bodega Bay, which he fell madly in love with. And the people in Bodega Bay, they loved every minute of it. They thought it was lots of fun. There's nothing else to do in Bodega Bay.
There's a lot of spare time in Bodega Bay.
The actual location is so much a part of the script. And that's what makes it so much more interesting, too.
Mitch likes it very much. He comes up every weekend, you know. He says San Francisco's like an anthill at the foot of a bridge.
What he's trying to do is just establish the idea that people in Bodega Bay, or in the small town, even though they're close to San Francisco, they have an independent existence and they have a certain kind of reverse snobbery towards the big city.
Well, how do you like our little hamlet?
I despise it.
Hitchcock created a bustling downtown area in Bodega Bay, and he actually used real buildings in Bodega Bay, such as the Tides Wharf restaurant, but then he supplemented them with studio sets and matte technology, as well as careful editing to make it appear as if they were all clustered together in a dense village center in downtown Bodega Bay.
Today, if you visit Bodega Bay, you will find none of that downtown, not only because it doesn't exist, or it never existed, but also the buildings that were shown, the few that were shown, in fact, don't look the same anymore.
Even when we were filming it, we'd see scenes cut together and go, wow, look at that. Where was that?
The schoolhouse shown in The Birds is actually the Potter Schoolhouse in the town of Bodega, not on the coast, as Hitchcock implies, but in fact a few miles inland.
When I go in to tell Annie to get the children out of the school, and she says, go wait for a minute, so I go out and sit on the bench. And there's a jungle gym in the background, and the audience sees a bird land. And then it goes back to my looking at the school, and then the audience sees several more birds. And pretty soon the whole jungle gym is filled with birds. And that's one of the things that Hitch loved to do. He loved to let the audience in on things that the actors don't know.
In the original, Bird's attack occurs as they're running down the hill away from the Potter Schoolhouse. Hitchcock created the myth that the schoolhouse is right on the water when in fact it isn't. So in this scene, Hitchcock does a number of cuts with the camera looking up at the schoolhouse as the kids are running towards the camera with birds attacking. And then a second cut looking down the hill, and the bay is shown in the background.
When Hitchcock decided to set The Birds primarily in Bodega Bay, he was looking for a location that gave a sense of rural isolation, a place where human frailties could be exposed to powerful natural forces.
Having it in Bodega Bay is particularly good because it's a very natural environment, but it is very, very close to San Francisco. So you have this combination of natural setting, but with sophisticated, urbanized sort of people.
Cheers.
Cheers. All of the Hitchcock women, when you first meet them, they're sure of themselves. They're very much in control of their lives. Everything is very cool for them. And what he loves to do is find a situation for them that turns their whole life around. Just kind of muddles up every phase of their being.
You all right?
Yes, I think so. What do you suppose me to do that?
The Birds is a movie I thought was one of his best movies. It had suspense. It had very, very good actors. And also there was so many various things that he could do, like the children's birthday party. He could bring suspense into that. Anything that he could bring suspense into ordinary life, that's what he liked.
You know, he always used to say, it's only a movie. Well, there was no one that was as consumed with film than he. So that little funny flippant kind of it's only a movie, which he used to say all the time, that doesn't wash when you really look at the man, at the accomplishments. I mean, it's stunning what he did.
It's the end of the world.
Alfred Hitchcock brings the horror genre a little closer to home in The Birds, Monday, October 31st at 4 p.m. Eastern, here on Turner Classic Movies.